Matthew, beginning at the first verse of the second chapter. Listen carefully for God's word to you this day. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we have observed his star at its rising, and we have come to pay homage." And when King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all of Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. And they told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the wise men, and he learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. And then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go, search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. And when they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. And on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother. They knelt down and paid him homage. And then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. This is the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Praise to you, O Christ.
It was in the 4th century that December 25th was chosen as the day to celebrate the birth of Jesus. In the years that followed that, the church began to expand the celebration of Christmas from the 25th through the 6th of January. Remember that song about the 12 days of Christmas? That's what it was all about. And for Presbyterians, tomorrow is actually January the 6th, correct? And for us, that's the day of Epiphany, of the light, the shining of the light into the world. In this chapter in Matthew, God has, through this baby, chose to be known to all of humanity. And the Magi recognized after their journey in the east, indeed, this was true. The star that they had followed led them to Jesus, who, yes, was known as King of the Jews, but he was revealed as their Savior, indeed, the Savior of all people. And when the Magi saw Jesus, when they saw Jesus there with his mother Mary, they were overwhelmed with joy, Matthew writes. They were overwhelmed with joy, and they fell at his feet. They paid him homage, and they had received what they had hoped to get out of this journey. This long, hard journey had resulted in this promised salvation of the world. We celebrate Epiphany these days because it reminds us of who we are called to be as followers of Jesus. We are formed as a people who see, who recognize, and point to God's saving presence in the world. We strive to give ourselves and our lives to God, and we strive to do it in joy, just as the Magi did. And so the celebration of Epiphany gives us an opportunity to consider, what does it mean to live out the difference that the birth of Jesus makes for us in the world? We know from the Bible that unless we seek justice for all people, especially those who are vulnerable, our worship is meaningless to God. James writes that religion that is pure and undefiled before God is this: it is to care for the orphans and the widows in their distress, and to keep oneself unstained by the world. We even see that the Magi, when they returned home, they're guided away from Herod, aren't they? They're guided away from this one who was worshiping power. Where we invest our worship, is where we invest our lives. And where we invest our lives, we invest our journeys. Just as the Magi did. These Magi had a longing to see God, to see the God in whom we believe. And as the Magi understood, Jesus is the Savior of all. This includes our children, our sibling children of God, wherever they might be. Be they immigrants on the border, or widows next door, or the poor here in our community, or those who find themselves needy and vulnerable. We read over and over and over again in the Scripture that this is where the heart of our faith lies. In being mindful of those who need us. So how do we join the Magi in this journey in the year that is ahead? The Magi followed the light that shines for all people, the King of the Jews and the Savior of the world who had been born. Maybe we need to spend some time this year in prayer for those in God's world who long for healing and salvation to come into their lives. Maybe we need to find ourselves in prayer with those who are refugees, wherever they may be, or victims and survivors of violence, or those who have been starving because of droughts around the world. And when the joy of seeing Christ and wanting to share Christ with others leads to the question, what can I give? Then perhaps we'll be ready. We'll have communicated with God, and when God communicates that with us and to others, we will know how it is that we can be a part of what it is that God is calling us to do. And perhaps then the whole world will begin to see that light shining, to follow it to Jesus, and be overwhelmed with the final joy of seeing God's salvation. Have you heard the story of the fourth wise man? The story of the fourth wise man's always been a favorite of mine. It was about Arban. He lived in the mountains of ancient Persia. And on the basis of his study of the planets and stars, he predicted the birth of a great king. And so he sold all of his possessions to buy gifts to take to this king. He bought a radiant blue sapphire. He bought a perfect ruby and a spectacular pearl. And then he began his journey to Jerusalem, where he agreed to meet the other three wise men who were also seeking out the newborn king. And the journey was difficult, with many holdups. And one day he saw a man who was clearly very ill. He was lying on the path, and as Artaban turned away, the man begged for help. And Artaban hesitated. But he said, if I delay myself, I won't be able to make the trip, but if I don't stay, this man can die in a short while. And so in compassion, he stayed. He took care of the man until that man got well. And the man said to him, I don't have anything with which to repay you. And the man said, except this, I know of your journey. And the prophets have told us that the Messiah will be born in Bethlehem, not in Jerusalem. May God guide you there, because you nursed a man who was ill to the point of death. And when Artaban reached the place where he was to meet his friends, he received a message to the effect that they had decided not to wait any longer and that he should follow them across the desert. So Artaban went back to Babylon, and he sold the sapphire that he had so that he could buy camels and food for the journey. He arrived in Bethlehem days after the other wise men had found Jesus and Mary and Joseph and had honored their newborn king with their gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And in the small house, he met a woman with her son. And she told him that Joseph had taken Jesus and Mary and they were fleeing in secret because Herod, who was on the throne, was killing all the male children. And even as the woman spoke, Herod's soldiers could be heard coming to kill any male children they found. And Artaban rushed to the door. He held out his ruby to the soldiers who were there, who grabbed it and said to the troops, march on, there are no children here. And Artaban was sad. I have spent for man what was meant for God, he said. Will I ever be worthy to gaze on the face of a king? And weeping for joy, the woman said, you have saved my son's life. May the Lord bless you and keep you and give you peace. And for 33 years, Artaban continued his search for the little family from Bethlehem. He was tired, he was worn out, he was ill, he was ready to die, but he kept looking for the king. And finally, he came to Jerusalem. He heard that a great person was being put to death that day. And when the people told him of this man's life and teaching, Artaban realized it was the king, the one for whom he had been searching. And he made his way to Golgotha, hoping his splendid pearl might purchase the king's release. And then he saw a platoon of soldiers dragging a girl in chains behind them. Save me, I'm being sold as a slave, she cried out. And the fourth wise man knew what he must do. He took the pearl from his purse. He said it had never seemed so stunningly luminous and radiant. And he gave it for the girl's freedom. And he was immensely sad. He now had nothing to give the king. So sad that he collapsed with grief. And then in a half-conscious state, a shadow fell upon him. And he recognized the gentle voice of the king. And he said, take possession of the kingdom prepared for you from the beginning of the world. For insofar as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters of mine, so you did it to me. Artaban's journey was over. His gifts were accepted. found his king. What gift do you have to offer? What gift do you have to offer to the Savior for the sake of the world this year? Certainly it's your prayers, right? I was really sad when I read the time and talent surveys. You know, on our time and talent surveys, there was number one, I will pray for the church. And not all of those were checked. I thought, that's a gimme, isn't it, folks? I'll pray for my church, that we may do what God asked us to do. Will you commit to me that you're going to do that for this congregation and for the larger church of Jesus Christ each day in the year 2020? Can you do that? There's a space at the bottom of your bulletin. I looked at it when I came in, that you could write that down. It's right on the front page. There's a space there under the call to confession. You can write it down. I will pray for my church every day this year. And I will pray that we may be faithful to the call that Christ has for us to be light to the world. That's step one. But what other gift is it that you have, that the Spirit may be calling and asking you to give to the world in humble adoration and praise of God being with us in Christ? Would you take that piece of paper that now has written on it, I'm going to pray for the church? Would you take that home? And would you contemplate that this week? And would you pray about that? What can I do in the year that is ahead to shine the light of Christ in this world? I promise I'll do it. I ask you to do it. And then next week we'll make an offering of it, okay? We can bring our promises and our commitments and put them on the table and ask for God's help to carry them out. Would that be a good gift to give God as we begin this new year, as we begin this new decade, as we begin this week? So much has been given us. What is it that we have to give in return? Now we're going to sing a favorite song of mine. Okay? We are marching in the light of God. Have you sung this before? I hope you have. If not, you're